Hey pillars, and welcome back to another cycling video. Today we're taking a look at the Cyclowax waxing kit system. Now Cyclowax was nice enough to send this for review, but I'm really into waxing my chain. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and when I initially swapped over from just the typical lubes to a wax system, I was using Squirt. Now I'll put overlay on top of this video showing the difference between using Squirt lube and how dirty your chain gets, and comparing it to when you fully submerge your chain into wax and showing how less dirty that actually gets. So I'm a converter in terms of now having a system. Now granted, if you don't want the faff of it and just you don't care that your chain will get slightly dirtier, then Squirt's not terrible. But in actuality, coating your entire chain in wax is going to be a lot less grimy in terms of attracting dirt. It's going to be more efficient, of course. Instead of just individually dripping it, you're actually coating it and has time to fully go into each link. And you know, the difference is when you have a chain that's using, for example, Squirt, when you finish waxing it, it's not like the typical wax chains where you have to like basically work that wax in, which shows you how coated it is compared to this type of lube. And this lube doesn't last as long in terms of having to reapply it because this is just coating the individual links. The difference also in longevity is this, you'll have to reapply more frequently than when you wax your chain, but then the difference is this is easier in the sense of this requires a system. And that's why I think it's great that Cyclowax offers a very nice system to make it easy. Even in a tight apartment space, you can do it. It's not the end of the world. And then in terms of my suggestion would be to at least have two chains so you can get at least two systems waxed, where, you know, depending on how much you ride, usually when I'm in, you know, full training mode, I could be easily doing 300, 400 kilometers. So having two chains means that you would have to wax every 2 weeks. And I think it is fun as well because it is something, if you like to tinker around, that you can basically have a whole system to wax and have some fun with it. So it makes cycling a little bit more, you know, hands-on, which I think is cool. Now, I want to make this note just in case. So Cyclowax, when you order their kit system, it comes with a pre-waxed chain. So this chain, which is a KMC black chain, is pre-waxed, where this Ultegra chain that I have had factory grease. So this is really important too because sometimes people don't mention it. In the kit, they offer like a degreaser, and then to get the residue off the degreaser, I'll show you what they have for that. But also, you know, that's not gonna last forever. Super simple is go to the hardware store, get white spirit, which is just paint thinner, and that will take off the factory grease from the chain. And then you just have a jar. So like any old jar that you have, just write white spirit so you know which one is which, and then you can shake it up and you'll see a lot of the liquid get murky, which means that the factory grease is coming off. You shake it up, you leave it in there, then you go to get the highest alcohol concentration that you can. This is 95, try to get 99, whatever's the cheapest. You put that in another jar, and that's to get the residue off of the white spirits. So once you have that, you let it dry, and then you have a fully dry chain ready to be waxed. And just be careful because your hands do have oil on it. So not only will I be re-waxing my chain, but I'll be doing a new chain as well. So this is very important because this whole configuration, you know, sometimes it's hard to find depending on what country you're in. So just common sense, hardware store with paint thinner, which is white spirit, and then alcohol, and you're set to go. So I already took it out, but in the starter kit as well, Cyclowax has their performance wax tablet. They're the official sponsor of Little Trek. So they use that at the World Tour. And yeah, we're gonna be boiling this, which is gonna be super satisfying. So I'm excited. And then now I'll show you guys what comes in the kit itself. So I'll put the price of the kit somewhere here on the screen, but it basically says no black stains, which is true. I'll show again on the video of me touching this chain. Less cleaning, which is true. Less friction, which is true. We know wax is way more efficient. And I'll say it right now because when I initially converted from typical drip-based lubes to wax, the biggest thing that I researched was in a closed system, meaning no dirt and grime, typical lube is way more efficient. But as soon as you have an open system, not a closed system, it tracks dirt and will be less efficient. So wax technically in a closed system is not more efficient than the traditional old lubes. But in an open system with dirt, grime, that's why everyone uses it in gravel. It's way more efficient because it doesn't attract the dirt. And it says 300% chain life, so you save money. I do agree with that. When I always check, as soon as I started waxing, I would check with the chain checker. I'm like how's that possible? My chain has not worn. So it's crazy how that's also true. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. I'll read all the content. So we have a pre-wax chain with a quick link, which is the wax chain here, wax tablet, wax heater, hang up tool, swizzle wire to actually hang it, protective mat, which is great, drivetrain degreaser, alcohol cleaner, which is basically these, just smaller, reusable microfiber cloth, reusable non-woven towel, brush, drivetrain cleaning strings, protective gloves, and then toothpick and warning tags. So we're gonna open it now, and I'll show you guys. Also, I wanted to make this clear, I actually weighed both chains. So the KMC black chain, which is typically less heavy than Ultegra chain, for example, it's coming in with wax on it, or I've used it now, so some of the wax has obviously flaked off, 255.7 grams. And then the Ultegra chain that isn't treated with wax is 256.9 grams. So kind of crazy that KMC makes a slightly lighter chain even with wax treated on it, which is crazy. So I just wanted to make that comparison, and I'll show you guys what comes in the system. So the chain's already the initial, and then we have this swizzle wire, which is how you hang it. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. And this is how you hang your wax chain once it's coated. So I'll take that out. And I'm gonna keep this box actually, because if you live in a smaller apartment, then it's a really easy tool to basically put away into storage than having everything open. So this is the mat that comes with it. We'll be using this as well. And then we'll take this part out. And this part has instructions on basically how to set up your wax system, but I'll take it out. It says, please read the instructions. So this is kind of like the crock pot heater. So super simple, and I'll read the instructions before I use this, but it looks something like this. And we're gonna put the wax once it's heated, and you can see it basically break apart. They have this, which is to obviously hang your chain. So we'll put that here as well, so you can hang it. And then this is the kit in terms of if you already have a chain. So one thing I'll mention too is that this is everything we kind of already talked about in terms of the white spirits and the alcohol. So they have their own degreaser. That's nice that they offer that, because if you are converting, you might not have a new chain, and that's fine because you can take your current chain and degrease it. So they offer that, and then once it's degreased, you use the alcohol to get rid of that residue. And then they have the microfiber cloth. They have a toothpick to, I guess, pick it up, which is nice too. This is like a quality toothpick. They have a nice brush that's included, and then these drivetrain strings as well. So I'll keep this for safekeeping, but we'll reorganize everything and go from there. Now the other thing I forgot to mention, which it explained here, which was not only your chain, you have to ensure that your cassette is degreased as well. So using that tool is also nice to have, because the degreasers that come with it, you can just degrease every single sprocket that you have in your rear cassette. So I forgot that, because usually when I've set up wax, I've set it up with a new chain and new cassette. So yeah, just cleaning it, super simple. You should know how to degrease a cassette, but funny that they reminded us. So the first thing that you'll do to wax your chain is basically take your quick link pliers. I don't know if that's the official name, but basically you'll find the quick link, which we have right here, and then you'll just put it in. Then you'll just open it. Once I let go of that, the chain will come apart, and then you can just thread it out of the jockey wheels and then take this to your waxing station. So to basically wax your chain, you're going to turn this on once you put the tablet, the wax puck inside, let it fully dissolve. Then you'll take your chain, put it there, let it have some time to fully coat. And then basically once you're pretty sure from just looking at it that it's coated, we're going to slowly take it out with the toothpick that was provided or whatever you have laying around. And then you'll fish this string, this cord around it, and then it will hang like this, or I'll figure this out in terms of how we should actually hang it. But basically this will be hanging here, letting the wax drip off so you don't have excess. And then you can turn this off and then just wait for your chain to basically dry, and then you'll have to work it through, then we can put it back onto the bike, and it's super simple. They also say that you don't need to worry about the quick links in terms of having those waxed. So we actually don't have to wax those, because then if they fall inside the wax or it's hard to get out, then it might be a bruh. So we're just going to wax the chain and then see how that goes. I basically made a mistake, and you should put the wire that you're going to hang your chain onto the unit first, fish it through the chain, then put it into the wax and then hang it, because if you don't, you're going to have problems like I did. So the second time I did it, it was a lot better. So you can see that because the wax lowers natural temperature of the unit, because it's obviously cooler, it takes some time to heat it up, but more or less the wax is fully dissolved, so it's almost ready to have the chain submersed in it. When you see the green light, it basically means it's reached the max temperature, which is 95. The puck is fully dissolved. So I suggest that you take the chain and try to crumple it as much as you can. And you gotta be careful because it is hot. So yeah, I don't know if this is the best way of putting it in, but I don't wanna hurt myself. So slowly. And now, just like that, the entire chain is in the wax. So if you wanna come closer, you can use the quick link. It is very hot. So now the whole chain is basically submersed in wax. The bubbles are going all inside the quick links, re-waxing all those links. So that's how you know it's working. You can see the wax is doing its magic because there's bubbles, which means the wax are going in between the links. So now we just wait. So it's been sitting now for 10 minutes. You don't want it to go over 10 minutes because then we might have a problem in terms of the other materials being overcooked. So now that 10 minutes has passed, you can turn off the unit. And now we're gonna hang this up to basically let the excess wax come out. So I left it to basically soak up for about 10 minutes, set an alarm. Once it's done, I should have fished this before. So that's the mistake, going into this chain and setting up this chain as wax. I would be definitely fishing it through properly just because I got wax everywhere. But basically it's dried now. All the excess fell and dripped down. So that's about 30 minutes that you should let. The wax now is hardened, but I'll have to reheat it so I can wax the second chain. But basically we're gonna take this off, super simple. You'll just disconnect this and there will be a little bit of flakes of wax. So then this just gets basically threaded out and you'll have to reuse this next time. So there's a little bit of flakes coming off the chain, which is to be expected, and you can tell it's firm. So 1 second. So you can see it's firm, the chain is firm. And then basically you will work it out slowly, and that's why you should probably do it over here so the wax can be reused. And then we'll fish this through the rear derailleur jockey wheels and then basically attach the quick links, and then you have a re-waxed chain. Super simple. So great system that they have, and then the wax hardens up here and then you can put it off into storage. So as I mentioned before, some of the links are going to be stiff, but once you get riding, it should basically be worked through. And the only unfortunate thing with waxing is that there will be wax that basically gets on the floor, so you'll probably have to sweep that up or vacuum. But basically we're gonna have to thread the chain back, so basically doing the opposite of what we did before. My suggestion would be to have it in the small chain ring. It seems a little bit easier. So we'll just fish this through. And same thing down here. So you just get enough chain around. And then same thing with this. And we're going to slowly put this back through the jockey wheels. So yeah, there's a lot of wax debris, which is to be expected. And then you put that around the other jockey wheel, like this. 1 second, this. And like I said, the wax is gonna have to work its magic through the entire system. And then we're gonna connect this down here with the quick link. So now we just put the quick links like this. One goes here, the other one goes here. And then it will connect it just like that. And we fully have a waxed chain on the bike. So very, very simple. You can just see the wax is flaking off. So as I was just saying, there's wax on the floor. The entire chain has been fully waxed. And of course, since it's just wax, there's no dirt on my finger. So to basically give my review of the Cyclowax starter kit and overall system, I would give it a big thumbs up. Hopefully you were able to follow along with my steps, and moving forward, you'll have a more seamless waxing experience. So I think they did a great job making it super simple, because it can be somewhat intimidating. Just, it's a lot easier just to drip, something onto your chain versus doing all this and doing some basic mechanic work. But I think having more competence when it comes to cycling is always great for convenience, and obviously feeling like you can fix things in a pinch. So I think it's great. I think it's a great thing that every cyclist should be able to do, relatively easy. In terms of storage, the wax has, it's going to harden up, and then you can just remove it, put it back for storage, depending if you have space or if this is in your garage. But I think in terms of the entire system, very good. And I think the only mistake I made, which I will learn for the next waxing, is just basically fishing this through the chain first, then putting it in, because then it just makes fishing it out and hanging it a lot easy. So great system that Cyclowax created. I think they're doing a great job for waxing. I think also the fact that they offer wax that you can purchase as well. If Little Trek is using it for the world tour, then definitely it's good. So that's also a cool thing. So I'll keep you guys updated in terms of the review. In terms of performance, I've ridden a lot of fast group rides. You won't really necessarily tell the difference, but in terms of the grime and grit, subconsciously, of course, if your chain is less dirty, then you're not losing performance. So performance wise, it's just as good as the other lube, if not better. So that's great, and I'll keep you guys posted. So yeah, super cool system. If you guys did enjoy the video, drop a like. More reviews coming soon. So until the next one, keep on pedaling.